Welcome to the Wally Report.
Listen, we are back again for another groundbreaking episode of the Wally Report. This, of course, is your favorite host, Ari Weiss. And today I'm joined by a fantastic guest. He's an entertainment journalist, a talented podcaster. He's worked for Variety, Mashable, and now he runs his own popular Hollywood newsletter called the InSneider, as well as co-hosting on the hit podcast series, The Hot Mic. We decided to upgrade the Wally Report this month and bring in a goddamn real professional. So with that, please welcome in Jeff Sneider himself. How are you, my man?
I'm great, Ari. Thank you for having me. I appreciate it. Good to be here.
Good. I hope I pumped you up with that intro, so.
It was lovely. Better than I deserve.
So, okay, what makes this so cool? Before we get into the show, I just want to set the stage here for the people. Right now, I've had actors on, I've had writers, I've had directors, but I've never had journalists. And critics. So this is really new. So this is something special for the audience. What you're kind of doing here, Jeff, is they've listened to me rant and rave for the past year, but you're legitimizing the show, I got to say.
Yes, now it's my turn to rant and rave using your platform. So thank you.
Yes, this will be good. And what we're also doing that's new and special and different is we're going to mix in, because I'm going to interview a little bit about your life in the beginning. And then we'll also segue, because you'll be sort of a co-host, as a critic and a journalist, and you'll have your opinions too. So this is the first hybrid show that we've ever done. Okay.
I'm excited.
Yes. So with that, let's just take one little break from our sponsors to start off. Okay, baby. And we are back. Let's get into the show. So, Jeff, just so the audience knows who you are, right? Of course, I gave you that great intro, but let's go back. We don't need to do a whole life story here, but let's go back. So you're from Massachusetts, correct?
Yes, I grew up in Boston and then went to NYU for college.
Okay, so the viewers know that I am also a Northeast guy, right? Because we're from Vermont, because I know you know my brother through your brother, who's a fantastic guy, by the way. Because I went back a little bit later, and I did get to party with your brother, on various occasions in my younger years. He's a real good
party
dude.
Animal. I'm glad. I hope you guys had a good time.
Yes. So, okay, from Boston, in that area, right? Now, really quickly, before I move on to the NYU thing, because I did look that up, I don't know if you're a sports guy. Does this mean you're like an all Boston sports guy? Is that who I'm dealing with right now?
I'm a diehard sports guy. I'm more of a Celtics guy, though, than the Bruins or the Red Sox.
Okay.
Don't get me wrong. I'll be on the bandwagon. I'll be a front runner if the Sox are in like the World Series or something.
Right.
But I mostly care about the Celtics and the Patriots.
Okay. So you see I don't know if you see this poster behind, of Magic there.
Yeah.
I don't have the same dislike of the Celtics as much as I did when I was a kid. And actually, and I know I'm going off a little tangent here, but did you watch Celtic City, that doc that was on HBO last month? It
was amazing. I broke the news of Celtic City.
It was, listen, it was very painful. It was traumatizing, but it was fucking amazing. And I ranked it very highly on this show. So I got to give it to you. It was very well done.
I thought it was absolutely fascinating. Yeah. Bill Simmons and the Ringer team did a great job with that one.
Yeah. So, okay, now let's get to college. NYU, I'm a little bit jealous because I always wanted to fucking go there, and I ended up going to like University of Hartford, Connecticut, and I was always like bummed. So you go there for screenwriting, is this correct?
Yes, I was in the dramatic writing program, which is playwrights and screenwriters, and I had a great time living in New York City. I don't know that I would, if I had a kid, that I would send him to NYU Film School. Like, it was kind of a waste of money. Once I got out to LA, I realized that I don't really think anybody cares where you went to film school.
And this is one question I have because I lived in New York when I was really young too. I wasn't in school. I was just working from ages like 20 to 22. And I became like way too addicted to the nightlife. How did you, because maybe you're more level-headed than me, how did you balance work and then not just going out and ruining your life?
Well, I mean, I've never been much of a drinker, so I wasn't really like a hit the bars kind of guy.
Wow.
There weren't like campus parties and stuff like that.
Okay.
I smoked a lot of pot.
Right.
you know. So I definitely could have done better at NYU, I think, if I wasn't, my head wasn't in the clouds all the time. But, for the film stuff and screenwriting, like, I did great in those classes. I wouldn't have gotten into regular NYU. I got
Gotcha.
into the art school. My grades weren't good enough for regular NYU, and so I didn't do great at the regular classes. I think I even
Sure.
failed a class and had to like retake it. It was
Well, it's still
heck.
impressive to me that you even finished because I was like a loose cannon then. So so okay, I'm always impressed by that. So let's talk about LA, right? So you finish school and do you instantly move to LA and is the idea of screenwriting in LA?
Yeah, I moved to LA right after graduating, basically. I'd had a couple internships between junior and senior year. I had done like 2 months in the Malcolm in the Middle's writers' room, and then working for Luke Greenfield, the director of like The Girl Next Door. And those were great experiences. So I knew that when I graduated, I want to go back. And I had another summer lined up with Luke. He wanted me back.
Yeah.
And I also split the time at Blumhouse, but this was like before Blumhouse was anything major. Like Paranormal Activity existed, but it was just a DVD on a shelf that I was not allowed to touch.
Gotcha.
So yeah, I mean, but I had started the entertainment journalism stuff at NYU. So I was like interviewing A-list celebrities at 19.
Oh
So I
wow.
mean, I was prepared a little bit for the industry, or I had a toe in it. But I also needed to make money, and those internships that I just mentioned were unpaid, and Variety had a paid internship, and that's how I sort of fell down the rabbit's hole of entertainment journalism.
Yeah, and real quick, because I almost forgot to ask you this one question before we move on. What was it initially when you were a kid that sparked this interest for Hollywood or entertainment? Were you just like me, were enamored by film and TV, and because we were stuck in a fucking snowy house somewhere,
I
or like,
mean, I played a lot of sports. I had two younger brothers. Like, I was pretty busy as a kid and had a good group of friends. But yeah, I always loved movies. And I think when I was 12 and I saw Scream, I
mm,
saw it opening weekend before it was a big deal. And I was blown away by Scream because of like the trivia at the beginning. And I thought, well, I've seen all the horror movies at 12 years old. I know all this stuff. And then they fooled me. And I was like, oh my God, like, how did this movie outsmart me? And I went back the following week. I brought an audio recorder, a tape recorder, and I tape recorded the movie. And I went home and then I transcribed it. And at that
yeah,
point, I knew I wanted to be a writer. But I was
wow,
always obsessed with movies. I had like the double VCR setup. So I would rent a movie and then copy it to another
yeah.
blank VHS. Or I was just constantly recording stuff off the paid cable channels like Stars and HBO. So I had like a whole video library that was, organized to the weirdness in my brain.
No, I mean, listen, I was super deep into it too when I was young. I was obsessed with that stuff, which is why I'm doing this now. Now, shifting back to LA. So you get to LA, you get this variety gig, I believe, initially, right? And then so you go full force into the journalism side at that point,
Yeah, I mean,
right?
I think everyone, when you come to LA, you want to try to get in at an agency, right? Like that's what everybody wants. We want agency experience if you want to work at a studio or a major production
Mm.
company, because you're going to get an incredible education at an agency. But shy of an agency, I think working at a trade was an invaluable experience because you immediately have to start learning all the players in town. And that's the sort of thing, like when you're at a studio, you're focused on the stuff your studio is making, or at an agency, you're focused on what your clients are doing. At a trade, you're responsible for knowing all this stuff.
Yes.
And so it was definitely like, you're thrown into the fire. And the best part of being a variety intern was doing the reactions on Oscar nomination morning, Emmy nomination morning, and Golden Globe nomination morning. So anyone who gets nominated is just the phones are being flooded. And you get,
Yeah.
a few minutes with each nominee. And obviously the people being nominated for the awards are the biggest people in town. And those days were like, I can't believe who is calling to talk to me, because the
Right.
reporters are off, chasing real stories. So mine are just like, oh, where were you when you heard the news? You were in bed. Oh, your publicist called you. How are you going to celebrate? That kind of stuff.
Interesting. So, okay, now you have 20 years of experience bouncing around. I looked up your background earlier. You've worked for a variety, no pun intended,
Yes.
of places, Mashable, a bunch of other places, right? So, a ton of experience writing. Now, I want to jump all the way to the InSneider. Okay, so when do you go from, working for a lot of these places saying, screw it, I'm going to start my own venture here? When did that happen sort of in this journey?
Well, it wasn't part of the plan, I'll be honest. I was kind of always fine being a cog in a machine. I'm not a very entrepreneurial person, to be honest.
Yeah.
I like being part of an operation and part of a team too. But unfortunately, the guy who I was working for, I was running Below the Line, which was a site that had been around for 20 years. And it was one of the only places that cared about interviews with cinematographers and production designers and that kind of stuff. And it wasn't my strength below the line, but I learned a lot about that side of the business. And so the head of that company was like, I'm going to start another site called Above the Line, and you're going to run both sites. And that went really well for a period. The problem was this period coincided with like the strikes and the pandemic. And so ad money went down. And advertising on Below the Line, was not top priority for studios. And so when the ad money dipped, I got a lot of promises and a lot of IOUs. And, eventually it just got to a point where his tab got so high, I realized he's never going to pay me the money. And I quit. And
Wow.
I quit when he owed me basically $16,000. The guy who took over for me did the same thing. He'd pay him a little bit of money, but string him along until his tab got to be $16,000. And then we both just threw up our hands and quit and, alerted the industry to what was going on. And that guy's out of the business now.
Okay.
He's like restoring cars. And unfortunately, that's the case. You can get taken advantage of so easily in this industry unless you fight for yourself. So I really had no choice. I was tired of working for a boss. I was like, I think I have a big enough following at this point to start my own thing. It took 2 weeks to like, oh, what should the name be? Because, Bill Simmons didn't call his site BillSimmons.com. It was Grantland, and then it was The Ringer. And like, if you want to sell it, it's like if Bill Simmons gets hit by a bus, God forbid, then BillSimmons.com isn't worth a lot. But the Grantland or The Ringer would be, you know what I mean? So I
Yeah.
knew I didn't want to call it JeffSneider.com, but I couldn't think of a name. And then it was like, you know what? Everyone knows me as the InSneider. So why don't I just bet on that brand? And I wanted to start on Beehive instead of Substack. You hear all today about journalists, starting their own Substack. But to me, Substack took 10%. And that was too big of a cut that I wanted to give. So Beehive, it's like, it's not a discovery platform. I think I have to bring the audience to Beehive as opposed to Beehive introducing me to subscribers who might like my content, but it takes a smaller percentage. And so that's why I launched it there.
And what do we, just for the viewers that don't know the InSneider and everything, what do you expect when you go there? What type of articles are you writing? I got to read a couple, but just for the audience, let them know.
Yeah, no, it is a development newsletter. So it's about casting, it's about director attachments, it's about spec sales, festival acquisitions, all that kind of stuff that you're going to get in the trades, but you're going to get spread out over 3 or 4 different trades. Like, oh, Variety has this story, but Deadline has this story. Reporter has this story. Well, here's a place where you can find all those stories and, boiled down to their essence with also a little bit of commentary because the trades are very just the facts, ma'am. And then if I can provide 1 or 2 scoops in the newsletter or just a few scoops a week to supplement what the trades are reporting, I think to me that is a valuable service worth paying for.
Yeah, no, and I definitely liked what I read so far. So I think you're going to see me on there, man, because I need answers. You're going to see as the show goes along, I'm clamoring for answers like casting, release dates, things like that. So this is a perfect partnership now. Okay.
Yeah, no,
also,
I'm excited. Lots to talk about.
So real quick too, before we move on to the show, Hot Mic Podcast, right? You're the co-host on there. I got to listen to part of an episode the other day. Very entertaining. How did you link up there? Tell us the story of the Hot Mic.
Yeah, I was at Collider for a long time. I started off as the news director, and Collider went through a bunch of changes while I was there. It shifted hands as well. But I was doing, podcasts and video with some of the video team, including John Roca. We knew each other well through the movie trivia Schmodown, which was a great time. That was like movie trivia meets wrestling. We were kind of rivals in the Schmodown. But I always respected John and encouraged John to write more. And yeah, we just have a good rapport as friends. We can bust each other's balls. And so that, he hosts the show. It's on his YouTube channel. We do it once a week, although we may be starting a second show.
Wow.
Weekly each this summer. And yeah, it's been going strong for years, and we've broken some major stories on it.
And what do you guys like? Is there a specific like stuff you specialize in? Because I see a lot of the superhero movie stuff popping up.
Yeah, I
But
mean,
do you
that's
go all
definitely
over the place or?
that's the bread and butter for sure. That's what people want to know. It's we want to know who's in the DC movies and the Marvel movies and the Star Wars stuff. And so like I broke the cast of the Fantastic Four like live on the air. Like we're
Wow.
figuring it out on the air who's going to star. I think I just got handed a bunch of initials when we first broke that story. But it's a good mix of fans and consumer driven audience, but also a few industry people as well.
And how are you still able to like break those stories? Where you're getting all your secret intel so early?
I mean, it's really just about cultivating sources in the industry, people who I've been dealing with, since I was at Variety. That's the thing. When you're at Variety, everybody wants to deal with you. When you have your
Right.
own newsletter, not everybody really cares about that placement, unless
Right.
they're not in it for the placement. They're in it because they're your friend and they're trying to help you and they believe in the cause and trying to fight back against this monopoly that Penske Media has. Penske Media now owns all the trades. They used to be in competition with each other.
Oh wow.
So it's and it's also a mix of fans, like, right? People who have grown up watching me on the hot mic or following my work from site to site to site because I have a bit of a big mouth and I'm not good with bosses. They have now entered the industry and become interns or assistants, and those guys have all the information. And I need to do a better job of reaching out to that new generation. But yeah, I'm a loyal guy, and so I'd like to think that my sources are loyal to me, and everybody's just keeping an ear out. And it takes a while to train people to like know how to recognize what is news. But once they
Yeah.
do, yeah, I mean, all you need is 3 or 4 people really feeding you stuff, and you can stay in the game.
Wow. Okay, that's awesome. Well, I'm very happy to have you here because now we actually have an expert on the show. And hopefully you can even answer some of my questions over this next segment because I
Do
got
my
a lot,
best.
or maybe you have some opinions too. I don't know how much of my show you've listened, but I can get quite opinionated and a little bit bummed or
It's
pissed
all
off.
good.
So, okay, industry news section. Let's go into that, right? The first one, and this is the one you actually noticed. You heard on my last episode, I was ranting about the whole HBO Max thing. And I always thought it was a bit silly. Why rename it and rebrand it just as Max? You don't want to lose that HBO branding. So, I mean, I didn't hate it initially, but I didn't really understand why they did it, right? And as you could see, I was kind of poking fun at it, like, oh, I got the Max app. And then a fucking week later, all of a sudden, they're saying, hey, we're going back. Now, because you probably know, you're more detailed than me. Are we going back to HBO Max or is it just going to say HBO? What's the deal?
It's HBO Max. That is
okay.
I mean, and it should be. It's not because it's not just HBO. There are plenty of other shows, things that would never be on HBO. So it's HBO Plus, if you will. That's sort of what the Max means. I know people are like, oh, Max like Cinemax because HBO and Cinemax as well. I never really equated the Max part of the title with Cinemax.
Oh, interesting.
But HBO is like a Tiffany's brand, and so to have a streaming service when you own HBO and you're not including that in the name, it never made any sense to me. I think HBO Max is the right thing to do. But like, on the TV now, I clicked on Max last night to watch Curb Your Enthusiasm. It still says Max. So like, when does the tile change?
Yeah, well, that I don't know that yet. So I think it's just coming, right? So at some point this year, we're hoping.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not sure what their intended timing is, but it's definitely the right way to go.
Yes. So I'm pumped on this. It's the right move. They listened to me. Someone was out there listening to all my gripes and my complaints over and over. And something actually went it's usually the opposite where nothing goes my way, right? So I'm excited about this.
The word on the street is that it was just one guy in like marketing who was pushing for Max.
Really?
I know as a reporter, I hated writing it because it's like on Max's series, and it felt weird looking at it because I'm like, well, Max who?
Yeah. Yeah, and you're right. Like HBO is too strong of a brand to just have that wiped out, right? And I wonder if it's because they're in so much competition with all these other streaming services now. They got to have that strong name.
Yeah, they definitely didn't want to do HBO alone because there is so much like reality content and stuff like that from Warner Brothers Discovery that's like, this is not an HBO show. But then there's stuff like The Pit, which is a Max show. That's like, why isn't this on regular HBO on a Sunday night? Like, why is this a Monday debut?
Interesting. Okay, topic number 2. right? Now, you'll probably understand I'm more of a TV show guy, right? We don't need to go on a whole tangent, but during this section, I do bring up a lot of film stuff too, because it could be some stuff I'm excited about, right? John Madden movie, okay, obviously, which I'm sure you're aware of. Nicolas Cage as Madden, Christian Bale as Al Davis. And I know you're a sports guy too, so I'm sure you know who the hell that is. Now, before I give my whole Christian Bale thing, how do you feel about Nicolas Cage as Madden? Because when I first heard it, I'm like, okay, he's not husky enough. But now I've seen the pictures and he does look like him. Are you happy about this?
I'm happy about it in the sense that it was going to be Will Ferrell, right? He was originally attached to play
Okay.
Madden, and it's like I don't think I can really take Will Ferrell seriously.
Right.
Cage has been riding a bit of a hot streak, and I think he's a fantastic dramatic actor when he's not going full Cage, if you will.
Right, right.
But this is a David O. Russell movie, and it's going to be in the vein of like Air, the movie about the Nike shoes and everything.
Yes, which I
So
liked. Yep, yep.
yeah, I think it was an upgrade for sure. You're right. Physically, I don't know that I could see it, but I haven't seen him in the full prosthetics, like moving around yet. We've seen photos, but it's always different when a character's in action.
Yeah, I think it's going to work because, like, you're right. Will Ferrell would have been too much comedy. And yes, Madden is funny sometimes, when he's commentating, but there's also probably like a lot of serious bits about his life. And I watched this whole John Madden video game doc recently. Even with that, he was super serious with the people. So this probably makes more sense of Cage being able to pull off this role.
And that's what the movie is. It's about the creation of the video game with the Electronic Arts. Like the third lead is John Mulaney, which is another like, oh, this guy's kind of known for comedy. So this is a little bit more of a dramatic role. I broke the Christian Bale news that he was going to be playing Al Davis. And I think he's fantastic. Like when I heard that he was offered the role, I was like, oh, he's going to say yes to this. He's not going to turn that down because I could just see the transformation. And I know he can't resist a transformation.
And the picture, at first I was like, wait, what? This is ridiculous. But then when you see the picture, I saw it online, it actually fits perfectly.
Yes.
And he'll probably nail the role because Bale's one of my top guys.
I think he's an incredible actor, and I'm sure that this will be like a supporting actor nomination or at least a contender for that category.
Do you have any idea on release date? Because I was looking at articles before this and I don't see anything specifically. Is it like 26? Is it this year?
I don't anticipate it being this year.
Okay.
It's a good question because you obviously want to advertise it against football. So is it next fall so that you're advertising the Madden movie during the next season's NFL games? Or do you drop it next summer when there is no NFL and everybody's starved for football, right?
Interesting.
Because it's like once fall hits, well, then everybody just wants to watch the NFL games. I don't know if they want to go see a movie about, that stuff. So
right.
I'm not exactly sure when it will drop, but I would imagine fall 2026, and we'll first see like a trailer at CinemaCon next April.
Okay, see, I love this. I'm getting real-time answers. Okay, next topic.
Always come out before the end of the year if it's ready.
Right.
But I don't anticipate that this year. We'll see.
Okay. I want to get your thoughts here. So a couple episodes ago, we talked about John Lithgow as Dumbledore. I'm switching to Harry Potter. I don't know if you're a Potter guy, but you're still probably aware of this because it's a big deal, okay?
Mm-hmm.
I happen to be a Potter guy. Now, and then online, the video popped off about Lithgow as Dumbledore. Now, I want to talk about the Snape situation, right? And since you know everybody, there was all these rumors that it had to be Adam Driver. I know he was never really attached to it, but just from the fucking looks, I don't know how they didn't go to his house and offer him the most money in the world just to be Snape. People still thought it was going to happen. It obviously hasn't. This guy, and hopefully I'm saying it right, Papa Essedu from the Gangs of London show. Do you know this guy and do you like this casting? How do you feel about this?
I'm indifferent. I don't care because I'm not a Harry Potter guy.
Okay.
I watched the first movie and I watched the last movie to make sure he was dead. I don't care about this show. I think this show is a bad idea. But he's a good actor, and I don't care about them race swapping the character. I'm not like, oh, I need a white guy playing this role.
Yeah, no, I don't. Yeah, me either. I just wanted to be a solid guy. That's all I'm asking.
Yeah, exactly. And he is, but like, they're not going to get Adam Driver because you're not paying movie star prices for a TV show. I mean, it's already probably a hugely expensive TV show. And when they are hugely expensive TV shows, think Game of Thrones, think Wheel of Time on Amazon. There's not a lot of big stars, right? That's where you
Right.
have to save money, is on talent, because so much of it is going to the world building. So I'm not surprised that the cast, Lithgow's probably the biggest name in the cast.
Right. Yes, that I can think of right now. Yes, you are correct. Okay, so I'm still pumped on it though, because I'm a Potter guy, and I know they're redoing it, but it's instead of creating like later Potter movies, when the kids are grown up, it's like just do the same damn story again, because that's the story that everybody loves. But it's like redoing it with Harry and Voldemort. You already know what's gonna happen, so I'm
And
sort of
that's the thing. It's like, why redo the stories? Like, we already have great versions of these stories. That's who people want to see. They want to see the original trio. They want to see Daniel and Emma and Rupert together. So as much as I wish these three new kids well, that they announced the new cast this week,
yeah.
I'm just like, I think that this first season will probably be really successful because people will be curious, but it could have a big drop off, just like The Last of Us did, because people are like, I've seen this before. I've seen these stories told and done on the big screen better.
I want to stay positive because for me, more Potter still better than
Okay.
less Potter.
That's right. You're
Okay.
entitled. It's just
And,
not
and,
my cup of tea.
and because I'm a TV show guy, now maybe what they're going to do, and I don't know exactly how it's going to go,
Right.
but maybe there's going to be a season per book or a season
Yes.
for 2 books or something like
No,
that.
the plan is 1 book per season. So they can go much
Wow.
more in depth than a movie can when you have 8 to 10 hours to work with.
You see what I mean? Which is why I love TV now. So now for the book purists that were like, well, they missed this bit and they missed that and they fucked up. Now that maybe we can redo it into the real intention of that book, maybe. So that's why I'm still excited about it.
That's the thing. I because I haven't seen all the movies, I don't know what was cut out. I'm not like, oh,
Right.
they left this scene out of this one. I can't wait to see it in the series.
Yeah. Me either, because I only read the final couple, which is another story in itself. But I used to go with my mom all the time, and she'd be like, well, I liked it, but they changed this and that. So maybe for those people, this will be some amazing second coming.
Oh, it's gonna have this is gonna be, another generation's Harry Potter. And maybe with a story like this, every generation deserves its own Harry Potter. But I know that Daniel will always represent my generations. And I'm not a fantasy guy. It's tough for me to get invested in that stuff, whether it's Lord of the Rings, Game of Thrones, it doesn't really matter. But
Okay.
hey, I wish them the best of luck.
And so speaking of the kids, because that news just broke recently and I haven't clicked on your article about it, do we know anything about these kids? Do you feel, I mean, I know you're not a Potter guy, so you're less invested than me of them not screwing it up. Do you like these kids? Do you know them from anything? Are they total unknowns like how the original Potter cast was?
The one playing Ron is a total unknown. The one playing Harry has done a TV show before, although I don't think it's come out yet.
Okay.
So he's, a largely unknown, to the world. And then Hermione, the actress playing her, she was the lead in Matilda, the Matilda musical on the West End. So like, she's someone who goes out and performs in front of a massive live audience on stage every night. So I think she'll be able to handle this show. She seems, very well prepared.
Okay, well, you make me feel better. I mean, looks wise, they looked like they did a pretty decent job of the original look of the characters, so let's see. Okay, well, I was hoping to be more jacked up on this. I didn't realize you weren't a fantasy guy.
Sorry, no, it's
That's okay.
not my bag. But you can.
But you are a Star Wars guy, though.
I can get my podcast co-host John Roque on if you want.
He's a Potter guy?
Oh yeah, he used to work at the Wizarding World of Harry Potter.
Okay,
at the theme park there.
But you are a Star Wars guy, though, right? So you're not even a Wars guy? Jeez. Okay.
No,
right.
I pay attention to that because I have to know what's going on just as a reporter. But no, yes. I didn't watch Andor. People tell me it's incredible. And I've thought about maybe diving in this summer. I liked Rogue One.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm not into the Star Wars so much.
That's interesting. Okay, so then I don't know how you're going to like this last bit of news. Okay. The last little news story before we get into the world famous top 5 that everybody's dying for is the Stranger Things season 5 schedule was just announced. This is real. This actually I did check. Okay. It seems to me that you don't care about Stranger Things.
Oh, see, you're coming up empty on all. Okay, I love Stranger Things.
Because it's an 80s thing.
Yeah, it's horror. It's funny. I love the time period, the music. Yeah, this is much more my bag than Star Wars or Harry Potter.
Okay,
and I saw like that. You saw the video, obviously, then add up to dumb. I thought it looked great.
Yeah, I didn't see the video yet because I'm too worried about even I don't like to watch previews because I'm like, if it's a little teaser, fine. But if they give stuff away, I freak
No,
out.
it is a little tease because it's
Oh,
mostly
okay.
like old footage.
Oh, okay.
It's mostly about them revealing the date, which I thought was pretty cool the way that they're going to do it.
Let's unveil that right now. And I like that they did this. Volume 1 comes out on 11/26, the day before Thanksgiving, which normally you wouldn't do because you're thinking, oh, people are with their family. But why not? Everybody's together. They're going to watch it. Everybody's streaming all the time now, right?
Yep.
Then Volume 2 actually on fucking Christmas, which I also thought was kind of aggressive and a little bit shocking that they're going to do that. But again, everybody's together. Maybe the families will watch it, right?
Yeah.
And then the finale, New Year's Eve. What do you think about this schedule?
That was wild. When I saw that, I was like, oh man, like they really want all the holidays, right? They're just sewing it up so that when, hey, there's a big holiday and you're getting together with the family, you're all going to gather around the TV and watch Netflix. I thought it was super cool. I was not, I mean, I wasn't expecting the finale to have its own release date, but I think that's a great way to build some hype and to also, I don't know, start the new year with a bang.
Yeah, I don't know how you feel about all the seasons. I know certain people are like, the seasons trailed off a little bit as they went. I disagree. I think the last season was fucking unbelievable, and I'm very excited for this.
They were all really good, yeah. And obviously, last season introduced, Joseph Quinn, who was a huge breakout star.
Yeah.
I can't wait to see who comes back, and who doesn't make it out alive because I heard there are some deaths.
Yeah, there's probably going to have to be because too many people got out before, and then now they're older, so maybe it'll be a little bit more evil and slightly more adult as the season goes along.
And I'm curious to see what the Duffer Brothers do after Stranger Things. I mean, they already have 2 Netflix shows coming. One is about like an older, group of like retirees, and then there's another where like crazy stuff goes down at a wedding. But I think that those guys will make the jump to features.
Yeah,
having worked in television for as long as they have. And I'll be very curious to see what kind of franchises are thrown their way. I wouldn't be surprised if Star Wars was one of them.
Well, it doesn't surprise me because in that last Stranger Things season, some of those final episodes were basically full movies, right? On the highest scale.
That's what these are going to be too. The last season, each one I think is roughly an hour and a half.
Oh, I love this. This is like, I'm so pumped on this. And I think they're trying to make this the biggest, most watched Netflix show in history by doing this sort of special rollout. I feel like that's what they're going for. Who has the record now? Do you know who has the record? Because I think they did, but then didn't fucking aren't they always going back and forth with Cobra Kai?
I think it's still Squid Game. I think it's still Squid Game season 1 was just a global phenomenon, but what just passed it was Adolescence. I think moved up into 2.
Wow. Which I loved.
Pretty amazing. But that speaks to the quality of the show.
Damn. Okay. All right, so that's our industry news section. I love these new insights I'm getting from you. You've really upped this whole section here. Gross. Let's take another quick break from our sponsors. Okay, and we've come back to the world famous top 5. Okay, so this is what we're going to do. A couple quick honorable mentions, because some of the fans are going to be pissed that they're not on my list. And I'm actually glad that you're not a Star Wars guy, only because I thought you were going to be really pissed that I left Andor off the list. And I thought we were going to have this whole back and forth argument. So now that you don't care about Andor, I feel a little bit better about this. I've been trying it. I'm 4 episodes in. I'm just like, I'm not that enamored by this. I'm not blown away. I hear that the final 3 are great, but it's like, what do I got to watch 4 to 5 before it gets good? I mean, come on. Okay, so I'm making
You're the first person I've heard who hasn't done cartwheels for it, but you're also, more than entitled to your opinion. I haven't seen any of them.
That's why I'm so perplexed, because everybody I talk to is saying, oh my God, it's the greatest show of the year. And I'm like, really?
I can't trust anybody on anything anymore. I mean, everyone's scale is broken these days. Everything's a masterpiece. Last of Us episode 2 is the greatest episode of television. It's like, what happened to Sopranos, Breaking Bad? Everything, it's always about new, and there's this recency bias, and people don't know how to judge things against the incredible things that we've seen in the past.
The other show that I left off, and I don't know if you're going to have issues with this one you might have issues with, is The Rehearsal Season 2. I've been trudging through season 1 because everybody keeps saying, "Oh my god, it's the greatest thing since sliced bread," and the guy's just so fucking weak. I just can't even get through season 1. Like I'm almost at the finale. I like it, but I feel like I'm just mostly like annoyed and just weirded out by this guy. I like him. I don't know if that was going to be on your list, but to me,
No,
they're both.
I haven't watched season 2 of the rehearsal yet. I watched season 1. I thought it was all right, but I wasn't like in a rush to watch season 2. And it also strikes me, it's the sort of comedy you kind of have to pay attention to.
Yeah.
You have to be in the mood for it and on its wavelength. And so I would like to watch, especially given all the media attention that season 2 has amassed with all the pilot stuff, but I'm not in a rush.
Wow, we're so aligned so far. I love this. Okay. So now we're going to get into it, right? The number 5 show of May 2025. And I really wanted Andor to be better because I'm pissed off at this show. I really wanted to get it off my list. I did not want to give it accolades. I'm over this show. But because Andor just didn't do it for me, I had to leave it on. Mobland on Paramount Plus, 75% on the tomato meter, 75 on the popcorn meter. I'm giving it a 70 on the Wally Report. As you probably know, Tom Hardy, Pierce Brosnan, Helen Mirren. It's decent. And there's great tension. The action is okay. The writing is okay. And if you haven't watched this yet, or the listeners still haven't watched it, it's a somewhat compelling mob drama taking place in modern day UK. I'm not over the moon. It's a good time. Tom Hardy stealing the show, but anything outside of his storyline is just not as good. And then I got to say that the last couple episodes really pissed me off. I can't believe I don't like Pierce Brosnan and I don't like Helen Mirren in a show. How did you fuck that up? Okay. I'm still going to finish it. I have like 20 minutes left, but I'm just very disappointed. To me, it was a show that could have been great, that they fucked up with certain writing, certain cast. And I don't want to be too negative because we want to be positive towards the industry, right, Jeff? But it's just like, fuck, man. It was just one of those shows, like, it's just juvenile violence for violence sake writing. I just don't love what happened. They've pissed me off, but I like it enough to be a top 5 show. Do you know enough about this? What do you feel about Mobland?
So have you seen, if you're on the finale, have you seen the show where Brendan goes to visit his father in prison?
That pissed me off too, because I like that he's standing up against Pierce, but my point is, Pierce, what he says back is exactly my point. Who fucking says that? It's like,
you're right, about his daughter-in-law. Yeah, the guy's
I'm
wife.
like, really?
I mean, I'll stop short of calling it a great show, but I love it. I
God
love
damn it.
Mobland. As soon as the screeners landed in my inbox, I was like, I'm going to sit down and watch this, forget any work that I have to do. I think Tom Hardy is like, he's great on the show. Like, if you've seen him in recent movies, he just kind of mumbles his way through the performances. This show knows exactly how to use him. I love what he's doing on the show, and I love what Pierce Brosnan's doing. He's a psychopath. Helen Mirren's the biggest psychopath out of all of them, of course. But I really liked this show.
Wow.
Yeah, I thought it was a blast.
Okay, but since you're an expert here, Pierce Brosnan's accent is driving me nuts. Listen, I know he's Irish.
It's a choice.
But I'm like, bro, you're dealing with fucking James Bond here. And yes, he's Irish. And he was just on, what was it, Black Bag. And he was also Irish in that too. And I'm like, okay, so maybe I'm fucking wrong. But it wasn't like an 1920s Peaky Blinders bad guy thing. I'm like, you're killing Pierce Brosnan to me, I feel like. But you liked it. You were able to deal with it.
How old is he now? He's got to be close to 70 years old. Like, I feel like a guy like that would talk a little old world, a little Peaky Blinders-ish, but I get how it stands out, against how everybody else talks on that show.
And then I think even more so, just the smartness level of him and Helen Mirren was just very suspect. Like that whole blow up at the dinner. What am I? It lost its intelligence and integrity. I feel like with those scenes, because she's standing up to him and talking like that to him at the dinner and basically admitting she accidentally had her fucking son killed and doesn't even care. Like, it's beyond psychopath. It's more just ridiculous, I feel like.
She doesn't apologize for anything. She is a total sociopath. I mean, she quarterbacked this whole thing and was always like one step ahead. It took Pierce Brosnan's character a while to, figure out who the mole is, essentially, and what's going on. But like I
All
said,
right.
and then they were arrested, and then they start singing to each other. Like, I love that this is like a nutty criminal family
But that was another example of like, okay, I'm done with this. Like I want
for you.
it was too over the top. I'm like, what is this? And that's why I was so hoping to nix it. But anyway, I'm glad you're pumped on it. My
Yeah,
other
I'm a
co-host
fan.
Bronco was supposed to be here. He's a big Mobland guy too, and I know, but I feel like the scores that you're seeing that I think are reflective. It's not an 80s show. The 70s, I think, are legit on that. Okay. But this is good. Okay. Number 4 show of May 2025, The Studio on Apple TV Plus. Listen, I didn't like it before. You missed the last episode, but I was really episode 2 pissed me off. I couldn't get through it. I'm like, what the fuck am I watching? It was giving me way too much anxiety, kind of like what people used to say about Curb when they were wrong, because Curb is the greatest. But I felt like, what the fuck am I watching? Now, 93% on the tomato meter, 73 on the popcorn, though. So I'm finally going to give it a 73. It's on the top 5. Pretty funny comedy starring Seth Rogen, Ike Barinholtz, I hope I'm saying his last name correct, Catherine Hahn, Catherine O'Hara. So decent cast. I'm still halfway through, which I know you're going to be like, oh, that's ridiculous because I'm sure you've finished it. But the show is growing on me. The last couple episodes did get better. I'm like, all right, I dig the show now. I don't like the continuous shot stuff. It's too much. Like, do 5 minutes of that maybe here or there, but the entire show, and that also bugged me about Adolescence, even though I did love that. Anyway, the chemistry of Rogen and the Continental executive team, I dig that. I think Catherine Hahn is a little bit overwritten with like the Gen Z talk, okay, but they're trying to make her funny, okay. I don't know if I love that. I'm not over the moon about it, but at least it's a comedy that I can even watch in present day. Jeff, you don't know about my feelings, but present day comedy I've been really trashing recently because I just think the writing is not there anymore. But the last thing I'll say, and I'll get your take here, is I do love the classic Hollywood feel that they're giving you. Because even though it's a current day modern show, it almost makes you feel like you're in the 60s, right? With the cars he's driving, even his hair and his glasses. And it kind of gives you that like love that you had for Hollywood when you were a kid also, and probably when you first went there. So I'm giving it a 73, number 4 show. What do you think here? Do you like this show?
Good show, not a great show. It's funny that you mentioned episode 2 because that I think is my favorite episode. I loved that episode with Sarah Polly. I just thought it was so like that's one. It's called The Oneer, where the oneer makes sense, right? And everything is so well choreographed. But in general, I think you'll find as you go on in the second half of the season, there's a whole arc involving like a lot of drugs. And that's what I feel that a lot of Seth Rogen's comedy sort of devolves into. Oh man, I'm so fucked up, you know, and so you
Oh,
get like a whole bunch
God.
of characters who are like that, and it's just not that exciting, right? As someone who maybe has some drug experiences of his own, it's never that exciting to watch other people high or pretend they're on drugs. I
Yeah.
think that the writing is sharper in the first half of the season. It's very. I wish I could call it a heightened version of Hollywood, but the truth is it's scarily, it's spookily like accurate. Like, that marketing executive, maybe they don't all dress as ridiculous as Catherine Hahn does, but they are still like peppering their language with buzzwords and like shit where you're just like, what the fuck are you talking about? I think it's pretty accurate, but at the same time, I prefer Hacks, which maybe we'll be talking about shortly. I don't know.
Well, okay, I won't give that away yet because you haven't
Okay,
heard my
yeah, we
feelings
don't,
on
no
Hacks.
spoilers on this
Yeah,
top
you
topic.
haven't heard my feelings on Hacks. Okay. So, okay, that's interesting. I feel like we're pretty aligned there too. It's good, not great, right?
Yeah.
I know the tomato meter's fucking going over the moon about it, but I feel like the popcorn meter is a little bit more honest to how good it is.
Put my stock in either of these things. I don't trust the American public to know what's good for them, and critics.
Yes.
I mean, critics are just giving things good scores so they can get interviews and get access, and I can't put much faith in any scores online.
Yeah, I only put that up there because it's a ceremonial thing that I do, so at least the audience knows the standard scores,
Right.
versus mine, and but I'm with you too. I don't always. It's not always right
You ever
anymore.
peek at Metacritic?
Yes, but not a ton. Should I get
Okay,
on the
yeah.
Metacritic there as well? And maybe we need to add that for the next one.
No, I get it. They're just a little bit more discerning over there, but I just don't like that criticism's been reduced to a score because that's all people care about. Well, what's the score? Is it a good score, a
Right.
high score, or a low score? It's like, well, aren't you interested in what any of these 250 critics actually had to say about it, or you just want to
Right.
know what their score was?
Yes, I know. Just so you know, I have this threshold. If I don't see 70 and up on a tomato meter, I'm probably
You're
out.
out. Okay.
Unless, and I know it shouldn't be ruling my life like that, but we're very busy and I have a million shows to watch, as you fucking know, right?
Yeah,
So I
understandable.
have to have some bracket that's like, if I see a 50 something, I'm probably, unless I go into it cold, but that's rare because I'm always looking shit up before I watch it anyway. Maybe I'll just go to the InSneider from now on
I
and
should
not.
develop some sort of scoring system or whatever. I'll show you the link.
Yeah, maybe that's what we need to do. And I'll go yours first. Screw the tomatoes. Okay. Number 3, show of May 2025. Your Friends and Neighbors on Apple TV Plus. 81 on the tomato meter, 80 on the popcorn meter. I had it a little bit higher, and it kind of, I now have it as a 74, which, as you don't know, because if it's a 75 and up, it's called classified hot here. Okay. Unlike certified fresh. So I purposely put it at a 74 because I don't want to have it as a classified hot stamp anymore. But impressive drama series with John Hamm, Amanda Peet, Olivia Munn. I got to say, I loved it in the beginning, right? And then as the season went along, it just became very soapy. Like I'm watching a fucking Desperate Housewives or something, or like
That's fair.
a nighttime soap, right? Very Disney almost. And sort of like some of the characters lost their luster. I feel like the show declined a little bit, but overall, you're enjoying yourself, right? Most of the time. John Hamm still very likable. And I think, and I don't, maybe I'm making this bold claim, but I think that this is his best role since Mad Men, or that I've liked him the most in a role. Maybe, but maybe I'm forgetting some stuff and maybe I'm wrong. A big shout out to the writers who do those little montage. You know, when I'm assuming you've seen the show, when he's thieving and when he's doing his criminal activity and they pan on a watch and then they do that really cool montage about how much the watch costs. Whoever did that, I don't know if they're genius, but I love what they did there. I do love the Hamm internal dialogue that's going on in his head, even though you feel like you're in a Mercedes commercial a little bit, but I do love that. I'm not sure how I love the ending because I'm like, fuck your decision making, and I want to do spoilers here, but at least it gives us something for season 2. So I wouldn't say again this is great, but it was a good time and I mostly enjoyed myself. And isn't that what this is maybe all about, Jeff? So what are your thoughts here?
Thumbs up on Your Friends and Neighbors. I really liked it. I'm not much of a Mad Men guy,
Oh,
so
wow.
I
Okay.
really enjoyed
Okay.
John Hamm's performance. I thought he was excellent, and I do think that he's going to get an Emmy nomination, even though the trades sort of have him on the bubble right now. Um, I just know, everyone who I think watches this show seems interested in it and captivated by his performance. Solid supporting cast around him. I didn't love the finale either, mainly because I don't think Olivia Munn is a great actress and her voiceover was a little flat.
Yeah.
But I'm excited to see where this goes for season 2, especially now that he's made the decision that he made, and he likes doing what he's doing.
I do got to say, though, she impressed me because she's mostly been like, what has she even been in? And then to have a pretty decent role, I thought her acting was pretty solid, I got to say, for what I assumed Olivia Munn would give us.
Well, she was fine throughout the season. It was really just the finale that I thought exposed her, and
Right.
the voiceover specifically, because I was just like, it feels like she's reading, and compared to John Hamm, it
Right.
feels like he's actually experiencing these emotions. But Jonathan Tropper, the guy who created the show, I think he's a really talented writer. And yeah, that is definitely one I'm looking forward to a second season on Apple.
And is that happening?
Yeah, it's already shooting. It's actually already shooting.
Wow. You're breaking news here live on the Wally Report. I'm sure everybody else already knows that, but I don't know if all the regular people at home, Nice. Okay, well, that makes me feel better. The only thing that's kind of pissing me off is like, fuck, now he's going to continue. Well, okay, I don't want to do spoilers, but it's like you're continuing this life of crime. Like, oh, Jesus Christ.
And so that's why we watched, right?
I know,
I mean,
yeah.
What is he supposed to do? Get his job back at the end and go back to the way things were? Like, no, this is the character, the version of the character that we're invested in, who isn't just desperate and stealing because he needs to finance his lifestyle. Now he's got a taste for it.
Right. Okay. Fuck. I like that. I do like that. I'm gonna side with you there. That because you hated the boss who fired. It's not like you could go back and work for this
Right,
prick.
Corbin Burnson, by the way, who was
Yes.
nice to see him
Yes.
pop up in something.
Right. Yeah. That was interesting. Okay. So before we get to the top two shows, and then you're also going to have your top two, which is going to be legendary here. I am going to take one last break from our sponsors. Okay, this has been fun so far. I like having someone else with major insights and opinions and knowledge. Okay, so why don't we do this? Since I've done so many in a row, you want to give your number two now?
Yeah, I've got two shows that just debuted in the final days of May to make the Emmy eligibility cutoff, which is the final day of May, right? So first off is the Prime Video series The Better Sister with Jessica Biel and Elizabeth Banks, and that's where one of their husbands, Jessica Biel's husband, played by Corey Stoll, gets murdered, and then her teenage son is accused of the crime. It's a pretty classic limited series. Somebody dies, somebody's accused. Was it really them? A lot of red herrings, but I liked it. It is a little soapy, and it may be an episode too long or whatever. The reviews, I think, were fairly mixed, but I just thought Jessica Biel and Elizabeth Banks were terrific. Kim Dickens, who plays the detective from Gone Girl, she plays the detective in this, and she's fantastic. I liked the teenage son, who's kind of heavyset, and you don't really see a lot of overweight teens playing the teen characters on these shows. So there was something about his physicality, because he's a bigger guy. He's a little bit more threatening, but he's also a sweetheart. So it's like, would he have really killed his father? I think it's worth watching. It's a fun binge.
Okay. Well, it's funny because I did notice that, but I sort of just saw it peripherally and wrote it off because I thought, oh, that looks cheesy or something. But now that you're giving
it an episode, Ari,
yeah,
because
I'll throw it on the list.
Same thing. It was on my screener portal for like a couple of weeks before I finally was like, all right, let's see what this is all about. And once I gave it a shot, it had its hooks in me.
Okay, because I'm a TV show junkie, as you're noticing, and I'm always ripping through. I need the next thing. So let's get it on the list. Okay, I'll do my number two, and then we'll save your number one. Okay. The number two show of May 2025. You like how I make them wait here, Jeff? Okay. Last of Us Season 2, HBO Max, now 92 on the tomato meter, a dismal 37 on the popcorn meter because so many people are pissed about Joel. I don't know if you're up on this. I'm assuming you've watched it from the comments earlier. They're pissed about Joel. They're pissed about Ellie. They're pissed about a lot of things, and I think they're a little bit unjust in their criticisms. I'm also not over the moon about it, but I'm going to give it a 77. It is classified hot. Bella Ramsey, Pedro Pascal headline the spectacular show, as you know. Listen, and I've talked about this every month. I'm not a zombie guy. I'm not an end of the world guy, just like you're not a fantasy guy. I did not want to watch this for years, and I can't remember, someone forced me by gunpoint. And then I was like, fuck, this is actually a great show. Very well done. The acting is superb. The writing is always top notch. The cinematography is mind-blowing, right? But then I started this new season, and I know, listen, I'm not a gamer. I don't know if you're a gamer. All the gamer nerds were like, well, they knew this was coming, the whole fucking Joel shenanigans. But I was Game of Thrones shocked, worse than Red Wedding, which I know you don't care about now, which is interesting, Cindy. Now I know what you like and not. But I got to say, the shit with Joel and how unlikable Ellie is in this season was almost too much for me to bear. But it was still just great. I mean, the acting is unbeatable. I still loved this season. I thought that the finale was a little abrupt. I almost didn't even know it was the fucking finale. And then I'm like, wait, that was the end? So I'm not over the moon. Like season 1 would have been the 80s for me. It still was great. It's still number 2 of the month. I am pissed. What do you say about this?
Not a Last of Us guy either, unfortunately. I watched a few episodes from season 1, and it didn't take very long to discern that it just wasn't for me. I was never a Walking Dead guy. I'm not
neither am I.
There's a horror element to these shows, and I'm just not into horror shows. I didn't watch Lovecraft Country on HBO, and I never played. I'm not a gamer either. When I play video games, I play with my brother John. We play Mario Kart N64.
Yeah.
So I'm not up on these new games and stuff like that. I'm told Last of Us is excellent. I did watch episode 2 from this season to see the big Joel moment because I broke the news that Caitlin Dever was going to be playing Abby. And so I was told when I got that tip, the importance of Abby and what was going to happen with Joel. I thought it was actually going to be at the end of the first episode. It turned out to be at the end of the second. But I wasn't blown away. Like I saw all these reactions be like, this is the best episode in the history of television. I was
No.
sobbing. And I'm like, I know I'm not invested in this world like the regular audience is, but I was like, yeah, this is why I don't watch this show.
So I'm with you on almost everything because I'm with you. I don't like zombie. I don't like horror. I don't like the disease that's ending the world. I'm completely with you. We're totally aligned. This one somehow got me though. And I realize it's more about the characters outside of all of that are just living in this kind of fucked up world. And I just think the performances and everything is amazing.
Mm-hmm.
So now I'm into it weirdly. But yes, I'm with you. I was never a Walking Dead guy. Maybe a 28 Days Later, a million years ago when we were young, right?
Those
and
are
Stones.
movies. It's different. It's different. If they made a Last of Us movie, I would absolutely be there, and I'd probably like it.
Got it.
Yeah, the series, I don't feel, I'm not compelled to watch it.
But I will say, though, if you had watched it, then you would have been more emotionally attached.
Sure.
So when that episode happens, you're much more like if you just go in cold, obviously. But I agree with you that this best episode of all time was nonsense. It was decent. Now, one other thing I want to call out, though, is Mario Kart N64 is my number one game of all time.
Oh,
so
yeah.
I love that you just called that out. I used to almost have an issue. I got so into it, I started actually gambling on the game later in life.
Standing challenge. Whether you want to play me or my brother, at some point we'll all get together and we'll have a Mario Kart tournament. Because yeah, he's vicious. He might even be better than me. I'll give it to my brother for that.
It's weird that never. It must have come up, but it was many years ago when I was hanging out with your brother.
Who do you play as?
Wario.
Okay.
Yeah.
You
Later,
like the fat boys.
Yeah, once you realize you get better, when you're young, you're stupid and you do Toad because he was great in the Super Nintendo version. Then you go to Mario, Luigi, and you don't realize later that you actually need to get better at the bigger characters because you can smash into them. You don't go as big as Bowser or Donkey. Wario is the sweet spot.
He's the guy.
Anyway.
Nice. Okay, that's good.
This is going to be the hottest part of the show. Okay, but anyway, you really impressed me there. I'm very pumped. But now, I'm going to have to take you guys on. But there's specific rules, though. I only do 150 cc Grand Prix 1 versus 1. Okay.
Yeah, oh, 1 versus 1. So not
I know.
Everybody else.
You can't. No, you can't do the multiplayers because they add in those bombs and they ruin the integrity of the map. Anyway, you can see I'm way too much into this. Okay, so let's do your number one show. Right? Okay. Number one show of May 2025 from Jeff.
There's a show called Department Q that just dropped on Netflix that I really liked. It's with Matthew Good. It's from Scott Frank, who did The Queen's Gambit and Ripley and everything. A great writer. It's like a cold case show, like a detective who gets injured in the line of duty and like they need something for him to do, and so they just send him down to the basement to dig through old files and come up with the case. And he gets like a little assistant guy who I thought was fantastic. He's great. Matthew Good is. Do you know who Matthew Good is? He's like Ozzy in Watchmen in the movie. He's also in Match Point, the Woody Allen movie with ScarJo. He's in a lot of stuff. Matthew Good. I'm trying to think what you might know him from. But,
I know. I seen Match Point, but it was a long time ago now.
Yeah, Department Q is definitely worth a look, and it does.
What platform did you say?
It's on Netflix, and it really stuck the landing. Like I liked the finale a lot, which they gave us like the first 8 episodes, which I gobbled up, and then they didn't give us the last episode until the show actually came out. So I watched it the other day, and I thought it was worth the time investment for sure. So Department Q on Netflix.
Okay, I'm throwing that on my list. I like that you're giving me new stuff because, as you know, I'm a junkie and I'm about to run out of shows in a couple days.
They had done a trilogy actually. It used to be like a foreign language film series. I want to say Nikolai Coster-Waldau was in one of them from Game of Thrones. But
love that guy,
Department
of course.
Q, the books are well known around the world.
Okay, so we've come, and listen, I wrestled with this a little bit because I was, for a while, Last of Us was my number one show, season 2. I had that slated. It was slated. It was in the number one spot, even though I was sort of like unhappy about it. But I just didn't have anything else this month that I could put above it. Okay. And then randomly, and I like that you're a sports guy because this maybe will resonate a little bit more with you since you're a sports guy. You don't strike me as a racing guy, however, but yeah, you're not. And I'm not really a racing guy either. Maybe a little F1, but not actually watching live. Definitely not NASCAR, except maybe when we were like, kids or whatever, and you had fucking Jeff Gordon on or something. Now, however, Earnhardt on Amazon Prime just came out and it swept me away. So the number one show of May 2025 is Earnhardt on Amazon Prime. Now, no tomato meter, no popcorn meter. And I actually want to stop this really quickly since you're the expert on all this fucking shit. Why? I keep noticing that this is happening with sport docs on Rotten Tomatoes. Why is there no ratings really quickly? Do you ever notice this?
I haven't noticed it because I'm not checking, but it's a low priority for a TV critic, right? Even TV critics, there's only so many hours in a day. They got to watch a ton of television, and then they got to write about it. So you got to make choices. So I'm not surprised that there just wasn't room in the budget, so to speak, at a lot of these major publications to review something like that. Plus, it's a docuseries. If it was scripted, right, and then you had hundreds of people working on it, it'd be one thing. But yeah, I think some of the scripted docuseries, it's tough to always review them.
Got it. So anyway, I wanted to love all these insights I'm gathering. Now, I'm going to give it an 82 on the Wally Report, which is very high. And I know, Jeff, you haven't been on a lot of shows. I rarely even give 80s, just so you know, like, if this is not like A, B, and C's, like 75 and up, a little bit like Rotten Tomatoes, is amazing and up. So 80s are fantastic. Breaking Bad's like a 95. You know what I mean? Just so you know my ranking systems. So even to be in the 80s, it's like, holy shit, this show was like, How
many episodes?
4.
Okay.
It starts off, I wouldn't say it's amazing right away, but it really grows on you. So it was a fantastic piece of obviously of the story of the famous race car driver Dale Earnhardt. I recommend it to all sports fans, all racing fans, and even people that just like good docs and might not even be interested in that subject. Listen, it's not The Last Dance. I put everything on this Last Dance pedestal, right?
Right.
And I also am very sport doc biased. I don't miss them. I love sport docs. It's like my thing. So maybe I'm ranking this a little too high, right? But it was a great show. The interviews with the key people and the story were very well done. The dramatic nature of the storytelling was pretty stunning. And especially in episode 3, where they have to talk about Dale's death, they do it very well. I mean, you're emotionally kind of fucked up after the episode. And it was really just the show that I was most excited about the next episode. I was ripping to the next episode, unlike a lot of these other shows where I'm like, I guess I'll throw it on again, type of feeling. This is part of my rating. Like, how much are you dying to get to that next sode, I like to say. Okay. And again, I was going to put this below Last of Us, but then the way it ended, just everybody needs to know it should be applauded. It should be watched. It was a great time. I would say there's like some part in the beginning. I wouldn't say it's like the best doc I've ever seen in my life, but it was pretty impressive. Does this intrigue you at all?
I mean, after your review, yeah, like it wasn't really on my radar so much. I've had the screener or whatever, but I haven't really had somebody talk it up to me. And so I love that you put it at number 1, right? A lot of people are going to say, "Oh, Last of Us, best show of the month."
Yes.
No guts, no glory. Way to take a big swing.
And that's why I flipped it. Literally, I had Last of Us, and I was like, you know what? I enjoyed this fucking random racing sport doc more.
Gotta go to bat.
I gotta go with my heart and just say that was my number 1 show, even if I get bashed from fans.
Who cares? That's right. Part of the gig, right? We're here to be bashed by fans.
Yes.
So you just got to have the balls to stick with it and have the courage of your convictions.
Yes, and I think it doesn't hurt to be a sports guy and a racing guy. They're going to like this a lot more, but I still think it was a great time.
Hey, at the end of the day, it's about drama, right? We're all drama guys.
Yes. So I recommend it. I think you'll like it, especially being a sports guy. You probably like sport docs, I'm assuming, right? Okay. So then what I do to end the show is we're going to do the yearly count on all the streaming services. So just so you know how this goes, I total up. If you make it to my top 5, you get a number. So Netflix, HBO Max, Apple TV Plus, because what I do is I total up the amount of top 5 shows throughout the year, because there's always the question, well, who has the best streaming service, right? We used to get that question a lot. Well, if I don't want to get fucking 8 streaming services and pay an extra $200, right? So right now, in the lead, Netflix has top 5 shows so far this year. HBO and Max now at 3. Apple TV Plus at 3. Showtime at 2. Prime now is finally on the board with 1. Disney Plus with 1. Paramount Plus with 1. Hulu still 0. Peacock 0. Star 0. AMC 0. FX 0. Okay? I just like to call that out because those are only networks that I consider, just so you know, Jeff.
Hulu and FX are in a little bit of a rut, but I'm looking forward to that Alien show that they're going to have later this summer.
Okay. Yeah, just so you know, I would never, because you're learning that the laws of the Wally Report here, is I like CBS shows, TNT, they're not considered, just so you know.
Yeah, I don't even know what's on there.
Yeah, okay, good. I'm sure we were aligned, but I just was making sure. Okay, so the way we end this now is I give a quick June preview to get people excited for what's coming, which is where you might really be able to fucking jump in here. Okay. And you probably already actually have watched some of these. So now you can make me feel better or feel worse. Okay. I just have 3. I've already seen an early Rotten Tomatoes score, and now it's really bumming me out, but I'm going to just hope it's good. June 4th, Stick launches on Apple TV Plus with Owen Wilson. I just want it to be good, man. Please. I need a comedy that I like. Have you watched this yet in any of your screeners, and what do you think?
I watched about 10, 15 minutes of it and turned it off. Fuck. That's not to say it was bad. It was a victim of timing, right? Sometimes you start something and you watch it a little bit and you're like, I'm not really in the mood for this right now. So okay, I can't say I gave it a fair chance.
Yeah.
I do have a friend, Scott Mantz, who watched the whole thing and said it's great. So.
Okay. All right. Well, I'm excited, because I've been bashing a lot of the modern day comedies recently, so I just need something, to land there for me. Okay.
There's another golf series coming out with Will Ferrell. I think it's called Golf or whatever. So that is the one I think will probably be a little bit funnier. But again, I need to give Stick another few episodes.
Okay, and then I'm glad in 3 days it comes out, so I can actually watch it. Okay. 6th, we're going to jump all the way near the end of the month. I hate that I have to wait till the end of the month for these. 6/25, June 25th, The Bear, season 4, Hulu on FX. Now, we all know that, the last season kind of went downhill a little bit, but it still was a top show of mine. I still like it, and I still have hopes that they're going to reclaim the season 1 and season 2 glory. So I'm excited about this. Are you a Bear guy?
Nope. I watched a few episodes of The Bear, and I was like, this just is like anxiety inducing. Like it just moved too fast. I'm not a fan of that kind of writing, like Succession, Veep, even 30 Rock to some extent, where you don't really get a chance to breathe. That's not really why I'm watching TV. So it wasn't for me.
I would say that, and I'm with you, when I first started watching it, I thought the same thing, but as you get to the end of season 1, and then there's a couple episodes of season 2 that could be maybe some of the best TV episodes ever.
Back in the day, The Wire was a show where it's like, the first few episodes, I don't know, even Breaking Bad. Right. But there was time to be like, okay, I'm going to give this show another few episodes. Now there's so much stuff. If it doesn't hook me right away, which is like, that's Netflix's whole thing. It's like, we're going to hook them in the first 2 minutes. If you're going to get the murder, then it's tough to find the time to go back.
I'm with you. That happens to me all the time. And so what we call it is a DNF, a did not finish. I have a lot of DNFs. Yeah. Okay. And even Severance, it took me fucking 4 times to rewatch it because everybody forced me to realize, by episode 7, it's good. I'm like, well, what the fuck? I don't have 6 episodes anyway. So I'm with you. Okay. And then ending the month, looks very intriguing to me. Smoke on Apple TV Plus. Wow, 6/27, starring Taron Egerton as an arson investigator. I watched a little bit of the preview, and then, of course, I shut it off halfway because I don't want anything to be given away. But it did look good. It looked solid. Have you watched this already? Am I excited about this?
I have. I've watched the whole season.
Wow.
I'm reading the book now, or this is a book about the case. I'm not going to spoil anything, but I thought it was fascinating. Like once I, went down the rabbit hole, because I've been looking forward to this for a while, but I didn't really know what I was in store for. And then once I watched the show, I was like, I need to know everything about this case and what happened. And so I've been reading the book for the last couple of weeks. Taron Egerton is great. This is the same team who did Blackbird, Dennis Lehane.
Right.
It's funny because John Leguizamo stars in the show.
Yeah.
And they told this story in an HBO movie in 2002. Okay. And John Leguizamo was in that movie as well. He was the co-lead in the movie. So I'm like, he has been in this story twice now. And Ray Liotta is the star of that HBO movie in 2002. And Ray Liotta was the star of Blackbird, the co-star with the
yes.
So there's some interesting connections here. I'm a big Radiohead guy. Tom York does the opening credits song.
Oh, okay.
Which you can hear in the trailer. But I think it's a good thing that you turn the trailer off. That's what I do. It's like, if I'm sold on this, why do I need to watch more of the trailer? It's just going to spoil more stuff. So
yes, exactly. I'm glad we're aligned there. Okay.
Yeah, don't read too much about it.
So, question for you. Is there anything else in June that we should be very excited about right now?
That's a good question. Like, I saw Tires. I'm a big Shane Gillis guy, but that is just not the right vehicle for him. I think that comes out first week of June. Wasn't really a fan.
So, okay, that was our show. Thank you so much for coming in, Jeff. This was unbelievable. I got to say, getting all this knowledge, these insights, getting your point of view has just been fantastic. How was this? Was this a great time? Did you like
absolutely.
chatting
Thank
it
you
up?
for having me. Happy to come back whenever you'll have me. And for the subscribers out there, if you like what you heard today, sign up for a month of the newsletter. It's $9.99, the InSneider.com. And I got some pretty exciting scoops, I think, in store over the next couple weeks.
Yeah, I'm thinking if you're okay with it, I'd love to get you on another time where Bronco can be here too, and we can have a three-way argument.
I'll get the full Wally Report experience. Yes,
yeah,
I know. We missed you today, Bronco.
Yeah, we go toe-to-toe on a lot of stuff, and I was really excited to come and bash him and say Mobland is out, and then I had to put it on. So sorry, Bronco, I didn't get to bash Mobland with you. Okay, so with that, thank you for listening to the Wally Report, the world's hottest podcast. Please subscribe, follow, comment, like, share, and blast. We're on Spotify. We're on Apple Podcasts. We're on YouTube. We're blasting hard on the talk. We're heavy on the gram at the Wally Report. That's at the Wally Report. We've actually been posting amazing video clips from our episodes on the social channels, so please don't miss out. And make sure to comment on Spotify, comment on YouTube and Instagram. Bash Jeff and I if you did not like what we said today. We love the comments and interactions with the fans. And so with that, we're going to jam out to the tune one last time.